Howdy doody, everybody. What's good, what's good, what's good? I've been chilling, getting videos, recording. I should stream more of my recordings, but sometimes I just don't feel like it. T. Miss your streams a lot? Yeah. I have been pretty bad about streaming consistently. Whoopsies. True that you vape on elderly people? Exclusively. I say get with the times, old man. Oh, I gotta turn my camera on. Dude, on my video that I posted yesterday, I had a few people asking like, dude, what's that outro song? I like it. I'm like, I don't know what it's called yet. I'm not done with it. It is kind of a banger though. I kind of crushed it on this one. Especially this upcoming part. I like this upcoming part a lot. What's the perfect name for it? March, that's not what I meant. You haven't been here in a while? I haven't been here in a while, so we're twins. Hey, Enraged Mushroom, I think you know what? Good on you. Hello. Song slaps, thanks. I am kind of an artistic genius. New camera angle. It was like this last time. Guys, I got a kettlebell and I tried to do a workout with it and my muscles are so tired. But here it is. I got freaking kettlebell. I ordered another one so I could do some two-handed things. Getting stronger? Yeah, I guess so. You missed the last stream? Clearly. It's a white guy? Unfortunately, yeah. But my shoulders are so tired now. Like, I can't lift my arms up too much. John streams here and there. Not as frequently as I should. But this is just like a little side hustle for me. Hold on, let me do something. Boop, 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 boop. Never seen a strong twink before? That's gonna be me. Is it too bright? Yeah, it's really bright. Hold on. That's better. What's happening today? I just turned my stream on. You gotta relax. I don't know. I'm just here for a good time, not a long time. Type shit. Does he got twink vibes? Guys, thank you. Gentry with 1,000 bits. I appreciate it. Gay ass bits too. Thank you very much for that. Grazie. That's Italian for fuck you. It's not. I don't speak Italian. But thank you for the 1,000 gay bits. I appreciate that shit. Thank you very much, Foxy Entertainment, with the 17 months. I appreciate it. Not Sinister Type, 14 months here. Here's more money, Mr. Sherman. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yuckvor with the Prime sub. Welcome. I appreciate that shit. Not Really Devin with 29 months, almost to the 30 month, which is soon to be a 36 month, which is 3 years. Wow. Nightmare, thank you with the 20 months. Howdy. Starry with the 5 months. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. Happy Game Month. Thanks. Appreciate it. Dizzy Gamer, thanks for the 8 months. Thank you. Fuck with the chain and necklaces. That's like a motherfucking necklace. Thanks. I wear them all the time because I'm too lazy to take them off. Okay, there's not a squad here. Sunnyside, thanks for the 24 months. It's 2 years. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Gentry, thanks for gifting us up to Woodlands. GFs, thank you for the 100 bits. I don't know how to say your name, but appreciate that shit. 80 subs, dear Lord. Pump those numbers up. That's a rookie. I have 2.5 subs on YouTube. Should I quit my job and pursue YouTube full time? Yeah, for sure. That seems like it's worth it. I don't know what else you do with your time. Maybe the squad is the wait. I don't even know what that means. We're not talking about King's stream. That was 18 days. That was 22 days ago. Get over it. God, has it been that long? Whoops. I was gonna stream last week, but I don't know. My head wasn't in it, and I was like, I feel like if I go live, I'm just gonna be in a poopy mood. So I didn't. I've gone on like 5 walks the past week. Been working out again a little bit, lightly. You know, like I said, today I tired myself out. I only did like 6 minutes of workout, but it was like a constant 6 minutes of like different things. And so I'm probably just going to do that a couple more times today. Just to get a little bit of muscle exhaustion kicking in. Have you gotten shit at rain yet? Have you gotten the shit at rain yet? Have you gotten the shit at rain yet? Have I gotten the shit at rain yet? Oh, the shit ass rain. I don't think so. Did it rain last night? Honestly, I haven't gone outside today because I didn't feel like it. Because yesterday I went on a walk and it was hot and I didn't feel like doing it again. Yo, Amelia, thank you for the 15 months. Oh my god, I must be psychic. I had a feeling you stream soon. Maybe you are. It does seem like it is raining. Is it? I mean, I looked outside. It didn't seem like it was a rainy weather. I did have a dream that my house was on fire last night, which was really interesting. So maybe I was hearing the rain happen, and like the rain sounded like a fire. That's fun. Yeah, but then like it was funny because in my dream I called 911. I was like, "Yeah, hello. My house was on fire." And I was like, "Wait, I forgot the address. Hold on." And I started looking through all my mail. I'm just like, "I'm so sorry, I can't find it." And I was like, "Okay, this is my address." And I was like, "Hello? Hello?" And like the dispatcher wasn't talking back. I was like, "Hello?" Then they hung up. And I called back. I was like, "Hey, yeah, I just called and I got hung up on, but there's currently a fire." And then I was looking out front. I was like, "Okay, never mind. The fire people are already here somehow." And then this fire guy came in, and he was just like, the fire was somehow out all of a sudden at this point. I actually do remember because it was raining in the dream because I forgot who was there with me, but they were just like, "Yeah, we're lucky it was raining." I was like, "Yeah, true. It could have been way worse." But then the fire guy came in and he was like looking around. He was just like, "Yeah, it doesn't really seem that bad." And he was like, "Well, look at all this stuff on the floor. Like, you know, you got like leaves and dust. Like, no wonder a fire happened in here." He was being like really short. And he's like, "So like, did you call 911 because like you just wanted your taxes to pay for it?" And he was like saying like, "Why didn't I call like CPS?" Which is like, I don't know why the fuck I would call CPS because they don't deal with fires. And so that confused me a little bit. But he was like really upset that like I got it for the freeway instead of paying for them, and I didn't understand. But it was a weird dream. You got a child? No. But he was just like, oh, I figured you called 911 because you didn't want to pay us. I'm just like, well, how much does it cost? Like, I can just go get some money real quick and pay you. He's like, like 50, 60 bucks an hour. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll be right back. Let me go get. And then I went to my room, was looking through my money. I had like 100 and a 50. And I was like, okay, well, that's a little bit more than he said it would cost. And so like I found a 50. And I was looking more. I found 2 5s. And I was like, okay, perfect. Then put money, except what I thought was money, back in my wallet. And I was like, oh, wait, where am I? And the money just vanished. And I started looking at my wallet. I didn't have a 50 anymore. And I was like, is it fucked up if I ask him if he has change for 100? And then I finally get the money. I go downstairs and he's not even there anymore. They already left. I was like, well, why are you going to bitch about all that if you don't even fucking want the money? I don't know. Because I remember he also is like, oh, it's fine. I'll look into your checking account. I'm just like, how do you even have that information, bro? Like, how do you know what my checking account is? I don't know. Anyways. How do I remember that? I remember some of my dreams because I'll wake up. If I have a weird enough dream, then I'll like reiterate it to myself after I wake up and think about it. And that was one of the ones where I had to, because I was like, what? What are we talking about? A dream I had. I write down some of my dreams. I write down like the more like long-winded, complex dreams. Do you eat too close to bed? I don't remember when I ate last night. I don't think so. I did have trouble sleeping. Like I couldn't fall asleep, so then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go sleep on the floor, and then I slept. But then I couldn't sleep on the floor for very long either, so then I went back to my bed. And that's when I had the dream. I was like, huh. Weird. W floor sleep, it's good for the spine. You know what I mean? I had a dream that my house was in a back room. That's awesome. You got like infinite space. Had a dream I beat the fuck out of my ex. Like if you're a man and you beat a woman, that's fucked up. If you're a woman and you beat a man, that's awesome. Based. A mouse crawled on me last night? Why? You and your floor sleeping habits? Sleep on the floor. I feel like I sometimes sleep better on the floor, if I'm gonna be honest. What if you're a man and you beat another man? That's cool too. He's a feminist, by the way. You get it. I'm indeed a woman. I exercise a man. That's what I'm talking about. Good energy. It'd be fucked up if it was the opposite way. It's like, oh wow, big strong man. You know what I mean? What about a woman beating a woman? As long as it's not a man beating a woman, you know, then I feel like everything else is like fair game. What are your guys' thoughts on that? New kink unlocked? Huh? Wait, getting beat or beating a man? A man beating up a man? Yeah, go for it. You get an ad? Yeah, ads did just start. Whoops. Guys, what should I even do today? What's up, Emma Rose? Boom, 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 boom. Horror Minecraft mod? Am I into horror Minecraft right now? I feel like if I play horror, I kind of want like a different one. Is that crazy of me? There's a Minions movie. Yeah, we can watch the Minions movie. I'm down for that, I guess. Movie stream? Yeah, let's just get banned real quick. Guys, also, small but notable. I've been at 1.67 million, so don't do it. If any of you do it, I'll fucking kill you. I've been at 1.67 million subs for a long time now. Oh, and up and down. And I'm finally at 1.68. Mecha Chameleon really changed my life. It's a big day for me. So close to 6.9. I'm looking forward to the day. Game's so fun to watch. Yeah, I already have an editor made another one. I do have a sponsor thing I gotta do whenever I'm done streaming today. Should I get that, and then I'll probably get that up. Ideally, because I have another editor working on a Wise Guys video. So ideally, Wise Guys gets done for my next upload. The sponsor gets approved. That'll be my next upload. Then there's gonna be another Mecha Chameleon. It's gonna be a good one. I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, me and Smitty had some silly ass hiding spots. That you edited yourself? I edited some of them myself. Like if we were to go look at my videos uploaded recently, my most recent one was edited by me. The Scriblio was not. The other Mecha Chameleon was me. The Windrose was not. The what was this game called? Rosalie was by me. The gambling game was by me. The one before that was by me. The one before that was by me. I can't remember if the Counter-Strike was by me. Was Lethal Company by me? I mean, a lot of these were. Most of them still are. But I do have a couple editors that I get with some work sometimes. For your editing style so much, I've kind of fallen off. If I'm gonna keep it a buck. I mean, at least I've fallen off when I compare myself to what I was doing like, what, 7 years ago. But it's also like the videos are way longer than they used to be. So it's like I can't put in like the same amount of like editing that I used to, because it would tire me out. Everyone says Mecha Chameleon. I think it's Mecha. I feel like Mecha Chameleon it sounds better it sounds better when you say it, in my opinion. But I think it's Mecha. Everyone says Mecha. Like the cube? Kinda. You better be facing it when you pray. What I don't like now is how long the videos are. I mean, that's why I try to keep I feel like the one thing I do in editing is I try not to have clips go on too long. Like I try to have a lot of like cuts, or like, you know, quicker paced without like a lot visually necessarily happening, but like, you know, you stop paying attention for 10 seconds, you're gonna be lost type of thing. About Matcha Chameleon, I mean, it would work. You spell chameleon way different than I think I've ever seen somebody spell chameleon, but they are Japanese devs, so it would make sense. On time as always. A little bit late, but that's fine. Let's see if there's any games I could play, or I could just sit here talking about bullshit. It says my Steam is open, but oh. There we go. I also got Burgle and Gnomes I gotta get it. I feel like I'm in a good spot right now with footage. I have quite a bit of footage right now. Mecha is a Japanese slang for super. It's pronounced mecha. Fuck. I'm just gonna start calling it Super Chameleon then. Bro stole my shit. Mecha means extreme/super, so the game translates to Extreme Chameleon. Whoops. I'm gonna start calling it Super Extreme Chameleon. I'm playing Deltarune. I have never touched a Deltarune or Undertale game in my life. I don't really care about them. You played Mugenics? Nope. I'm just gonna start calling it Super and or Extreme Chameleon. People are gonna be like, what is called Mecha? I'm like, well, actually, you fuck with Geometry Dash? No. It's cool, but I don't really fuck with it in like that way. Like, it's impressive when I see people play it, but I have no urge to play it myself. I Slickster, thanks for the 2 months. What kind of milk did you get from the store? 2% almond? Yeah. How'd you know? Did you check me out? Not like visually, but like at the checkout register. Wait, it's raining. I left my window open. GG's. Your house is fucked. Ariana, thanks for the 14 months. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. Should we replay Fallout 4? Why? I've never been a big Fallout person. Like, it's an alright game, but I don't know. They've never really like tickled my fancy in like a great way. I feel like the one game I should play that I haven't ever touched is Red Dead Redemption. Like, I feel like if I was to play any story games, that should be the one I should play. I did start Kingdom Hearts recently. Anyone here fuck with Kingdom Hearts? I'm on number 2. But then I got back into WoW, and that sort of killed my progress on Kingdom Hearts. Whoopsies. Would you consider ever doing a Q&A again? Possibly. I don't know. I feel like I've done so many Q&As that, like... Is there any questions left to ask me? Because, like, if people start asking, like, oh, are you ever going to sell your paintings? I'll be like, what if I put a fucking gun in my mouth? What if I did it? Think about it. Amount of questions? See, exactly. It is very funny seeing Mickey Mouse in, like, a dark robe. I'm like, man, how did they get away with this? That's awesome, though. This is the return. What's your favorite kind of game, like story or comp? What do you mean by comp? Like a competitive game, or like compensation? I think I prefer, like, I guess competitive games. I don't know if competitive is like necessarily the right word, but I prefer games where like you're playing with people. I'm coming back. I can see clearly. Co-op multiplayer? Yeah. I mean, it's like whether I'm facing people, whether I'm playing with people and facing people, whether I'm just playing with people and we're going after, like, you know, like more of like an NPC thing. It's just things with people. I don't know if they would all be considered co-op, but I guess probably they would be. Or the new co-op Fierce to Fathom. Yeah, I think me and Smitty are going to be playing that eventually. They asked me if I want to play it. I'm like, yes, sir. But we don't have a date set yet. But it should be a fun, good time. What should I draw? You should draw a rat dressed like Michael Jackson, but he's doing a square dance. There you go. He did upload a new Fierce to Fathom. Has he not played the original Fierce to Fathom? He's probably waiting until he finishes that, and then he's probably gonna play it. Because I bet once he probably finishes Fierce to Fathom, then he'll do the multiplayer. Why does every streamer do gsupps? Because they're good. They're good. It's a good company to work for or be partnered with. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I got into gamer subs just because all of my friends pretty much are like big parts of gamer subs. Time for you to get a flavor. I think one day I will. But use code Kryoz on gamer subs. John, you have a great sense of fashion. Thank you. I agree. Is gsupps the Schlatt one? No. Schlatt, I think, has... I don't know if I can actually talk about that. But Schlatt doesn't own gamer subs, no. He is not the founder. Well, that's a liar. He embellished a little bit. I don't know what all I can disclose. I know more than I probably should. That's what happens when you know people. I still give you an identity crisis. Don't worry, today I'm just wearing something light. Fendi belt, not really, it's just from Walmart. Cheap ass shirt that I cut off. I think this shit was like $5. No shoes. Pants are so sick. Yeah, guess where I got them? Amazon, baby. Yurt. No one else buy them, otherwise you're stealing my fucking style, though. Capiche? We're buying them right now? No! I also have some other pants. Do I have them down here? No. I have some green pants that I made the ankle a little bit wider on because I didn't like how they fit. That made the ankle wider. I'm just like, wow, I love how these fit now. But those were like $150. I have a wide variety of price ranges in my closet. What can I say? You ever tried bleach art on black t-shirt? No. I do have a design I'm going to be making on a shirt soon, but I have not done it yet. Did you cut the hat trim? Yeah. I cut it, then I sewed it. But you guys want to see another custom hat I did? Is it down here? No. You guys want me to go get it real quick? Little custom hat. You guys might have seen it already. All right, let me put on. Ooh, this song's a classic. I haven't listened to it in a while. All right, time me. Be right back. Guys, I don't know where it's at. I don't know where it's at. Is it down here? No. I don't know where it went. I actually have two hats. But I don't know where either of them are. Maybe it's under these pairs of pants. pair of pants. Nope. There's this one that I got in Japan that I really like. Pretty cool. Hold on. Let me put on my thinking bracelet. Mads, thank you for the 27 months. Happy birthday. Diamonds. Fake ones, but they're still diamonds. Hold on. Let me think where my hat could be. What's crazy, I think I just wore it yesterday. So I don't actually know where it could be. Let me go look again. I'm going to find it this time. I could only find one of them. But I also found something I forgot I ordered, and it came the other day. Who remembers this little guy? Mon ami. But yeah, here's the other hat. There was another one that I made, but I don't remember where it went. Is it on the plant? No, that's a Bucky's hat. Oh, wait. There we go. First time I caught, love the hat stack. Thank you very much. Wait, those pants look nice. Where'd you get them? Amazon. So this one I got from Temu, but then I put this on it. Ta-da. Then this one, I forgot where I got it. I think it was a Cold Nature, and then I cut the brim off. Then I cut the brim off another hat and put this on. I hot glued it, and then like add stitching, and spray painted it orange. Pretty awesome. Or I put John on Temu. Maybe. That might be the case. Boo Temu. Whoa. Relax. Thrifting is better. You literally just go thrifting on Temu. I just wanted a cheap hat to do this on. I didn't really have one that worked. You know what? Hat swap. We're rocking this one today. Because I decided. I hate ads. If you subscribe, you'll never get them again. But they're running. Guys, someone give 400 subs. Nobody? Okay. Starsteer with 1. That's $399 to go. Thank you very much. Don't give more money, but I want it. I mean, ads do pay creators. I don't know Twitch ads, to be honest. YouTube ads for sure. I don't know how Twitch ads, how much they pay. Let's look. So my last stream I did, out of the $189 I made, 23 of it was from ads. This is not terrible. Yo, Mitzi Celeste, thanks for gifting a sub to Lady at Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn? Are you here? Hey, what's up? Star Seal, thank you for the 10 months, by the way. I already said thank you, but I'm thanking it again. I mean, my day job is, I mean, this is my day job. You know what I mean? Hold on. I got business to attend to. Give me 1 second. Yo, Wild Cherry Apocalypse with the 10 gifted subs. I appreciate it. A total of 100 subs overall. Guys, if you got gifted a sub from Wild Cherry Apocalypse and you're not saying thank you right now, die! Or just say thank you. It might be a better option. That, thank you for the 96 months. 4 months away from 100 months. Wow, 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 long time. All right. How to help with business. All your mods are working right now. How could you, John? I was in the mood to stream. I have to work on a sponsored thing later. I didn't feel like doing the sponsored thing right now. So I was like, fuck it, I'll stream instead. And then once I'm done streaming, I'll work on the sponsored thing. You don't care? SMH my head? What the flip? What the flip? You got me. What color should I dye my hair next? Death color. Red and black ombre. What, the flip phone? I kind of want a flip phone. But like, I don't want the iPhone flip phone. Flip phone? You should remember for 5 years? And? Show us the phone case. I mean, it's a clear phone case. But then this frog was given to me at PAX. And then this is 2000 Sunny, and then behind it, that little black circle is when I went to Fred Again's show. Tuxie, what the fucksy? iPhone had a flip phone? I think they're making a flip phone. I don't think it's out yet. Thought that was the weed logo? No. Is that considered the weed logo? Isn't it? That's what cannabis looks like. Nightmare. If I get the subs, if you gotta get this up for Nightmare, you're gonna have some tonight if you don't thank them. So lock in. W. Thank you very much for the 5 get the subs. I appreciate it. Loke, modern flip phones are so ridiculous. I just like the sass that comes with the flip phone, you know? Just no nail polish today? No. I had to check. Take control. My nails have been too smooth, and every time I put it on, it just peels off within a day. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? I don't know. Of the 3 custom hats, which is your favorite? 3? Oh, yeah. Well, this is the one that I started with. This was the first one I did. So it has a little special place in my heart. You know what I mean? This one I like just because it's so, like, it feels unique, you know? Like, I cut up another hat just to put this one on. There's like a little hidden flower embellishment. The stitching is there. But this one does fit a little silly. I'm not a big, like, I like the shape of this one more, how it has like the bump in the front, while this one doesn't really have that bump in the front. So I feel like this one visually, like, sits on my head better, like it's a better shape. And then I like this one just because I like the art I did on it. But like now with like these shorter build hats, it's like now this one feels so fucking long. I feel like a dork. You know what I mean? Because like, dork. Blue one's the best. Yeah, it has some weird fucking embroidery on it. I might remove that. It's just a lot, so we'll see. We'll see what I do. Get that hat here too. Do I have hat here? Damn, look at that part. Whew, sharp. Are those good on stream? Think you're muted here? It depends. If I wear it for long periods, then I definitely get a little bit of. It gets very flat. But I woke up today, my hair was not flat. It was like poofy as hell. I was like, I gotta put a hat on. I look ridiculous. And so I put it on. And that looks like this. Ta-da. Ooh, this song goes hard. I like when the bass comes in. Everyone turn down your volume if you don't want to get deafened. I'm All right, that's enough of that. What song is that? Getting Funds by Mom Dollar Sign. I don't. My head feels like it's in an earthquake. That's awesome. Closed captions are. That's cool. That's pretty accurate though. Should I sub? It's up to you. If you got the money to sub, go for it. I might stream once a week. Only time can tell. Subs are 35% off? Are they? I mean, subs are 35% off. Now's the best time to sub, if we're gonna be honest. So like, lock the fuck in. Tight shit. Ends in 8 days. I should stream more so I can get a whole bunch of subs and then never stream again. Then we had another hype train. It's already over though. Didn't go on very long. Tough. Stream for the rest of game month and never return. Only come back for June's. Hold on. You might be cooking. And Black History Month. Because I'm one of them. Are you done? What, a split chat? Huh? I don't know what split chat is. Where are you even seeing that? Or are you asking like what the sub split is? If so, I don't even know. The song slaps, hold up? Yeah, of course. Oh. You think I'm just gonna put on music that doesn't slap? Do you know who the fuck I is? Show you how to start. Show you how to start. Banger after banger, true. Yo, you said you weren't sure if you want to sub, then you gifted 5. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Guys, if you got gifted a sub from Squarefoot Squirrel, I think. I don't know. If you don't say thank you, you will get attacked by a squirrel next time you go outside. So either never leave your house again or say thank you, and you can leave whenever you damn well please. Sorry, more business. I had a squirrel chase me 2 blocks. Maybe you deserved it. Just think about that for a second. Every time I see a squirrel, I wish they would come up to me and I'd be like, I know a squirrel that I could pet a little bit, but they're chicken shits. I actually had a friend when I was growing up who had a pet squirrel. They hurt when they fucking crawl on you, dude. Those sharp little claws. Fucking ouch, dude. You thought cats sucked? Yeah, guess what's worse? Squirrels. Good beginner sewing project. Just like draw a shape on some clothes and sew around. I mean, like, do you want to like do embellishments or do you want to do like a modifying of like a silhouette of a piece of clothing? Jojo, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate it. My name is Soft Squirrel, but with a C instead. Ah, that makes more sense. It does make more sense. Embellishments? I feel like, yeah, for embellishments, you just like draw a little shape and then like either do like a chain link stitch around that shape, or you could do like a full embroidery covering that whole shape, depending on the shape you're doing. You could just do like a simple pattern, just like a repeating stitch pattern in a way. Like, what was it called? Shishiko? I forgot he said that word. What else could you do? Let me think more. I don't know. That's all that's coming to my head right now. Play my games, white boy? Shut up. My monitor is dusty. I had to clean it off. John So's? Yeah. What else could you do? I mean, I'm trying to remember. There's like an Instagram I follow that does like a lot of like ways to like embroider, like hand embroider flowers and like bows and stuff like that. I mean, I say just look up like small embroidery patterns or like ideas and just do some of those. Or you could even get patches and just sew on some like patches if you want to like keep it more simple. You know what I mean? Oh, dude, I read that for a second. I just saw Sneezing Girl 100 gift subs, but it's total 100 gift subs. I thought you just gifted 100. I was like, bitch, what? Sneezing Girl, thanks for gifting a sub to Carl Bears, though. I appreciate it. Isn't embroidery hard? The bigger pattern you do, the harder it gets. But it's not that hard. Oh, excuse me. The bigger patterns are ideal with like a sewing machine or embroidery machine, but you could do like little hand ones fairly easily. Like, I'd put little bows on a pair of pants for a friend. I've done flowers on my own pants. I could probably go grab those pants. I think I know exactly where they are. Takes a lot of patience and a lot of thread, to be fair. It's so beautiful. Remember those pants? Yeah. Did you water your plants' flowers? No. They don't like water. They just need sunshine. Especially when starting out, you make some mistakes. Yeah. I mean, you can get like cheap embroidery thread. They also, I mean, they do have like more expensive embroidery thread, and I really do feel like there is a difference. I have a vintage embroidery kit that I got from my Nana when she passed. Yeah, my grandma, she's not dead, but she gave me a lot of her old sewing things, and there's like so many like silk threads in there and shit. And there's a shit ton of needles, but I think they got wet at some point and they all rusted. What's a good way to get rust off of needles? Does anyone know? I could Google it, but I don't feel like it right now, so I figured I'd ask chat and farm some engagement. I tried soaking them in acetone. Toothpaste? Steel wool and vinegar? Yeah, but that's like so tough. Like, how am I just gonna grab a needle and just... Ketchup? Huh? I want you. Don't get lost with me. Buying a new pack? True. Vinegar, maybe WD-40. Vinegar and baking soda. We could try that. Yeah, because I had them like sitting in acetone and I tried alcohol. I even tried like scrubbing them a little. Not with steel wool, to be fair. Wouldn't vinegar and baking soda cancel each other out? CLR. For lime, calcium, and rust, lime away is a must. Sorry, I just think of that. I think I actually have some CLR. I think I actually bought some. Because I remember my shower head was spitting out funny. And I think I bought some. So maybe I'll do that. How much rust? Like 30% of them. I might try the CLR because I do think I have some of that. WD-40 would work, I think. Would it? I thought WD-40 just was like a lube. Hold on. Before I forget, I'm gonna go grab the needles and my CLR and set up a little spot down here for them. Ooh, good song. Turns out I don't have CLR. I just have lime away. But here, I'll try to show you guys the needles. Oh no. Don't. Oh god. There's some hair on them. Hold on. It's fucking needles. Who cares? Oh, one of them slipping. Hold on. They're pretty rusty. Let's put them in there. Make sure there's no contaminants. Maybe better if I like did a quick little wash on them too. Pretty rusty. What is this? So I just spray the lime away on it? Hey, is inhaling this stuff bad for me? They are now coated in it. All right, we'll see how that works. Let's inhale all the chemicals. Yeah, I sprayed it right up my nose. Because like I figured maybe I got some Lyme in me. Like what if I have Lyme disease? I just drink that shit, gone. Because I'm dead, most likely, but still. Still good. Let's make a bomb. Why? Should I mix it with bleach or something? Yo, Mitzi Celeste, if you're giving us up the Exlipsense. Why am I sub? I never paid. I stole your bank account info and subbed you. You're welcome. No, you probably got gifted a sub, most likely. So, I don't know who gave you a sub, but just be like, yo, thanks for getting your sub, dog. Type shit. Why'd you steal my bank info? That's not nice. I only took the $6 for a sub. Relax. You're overreacting right now. Just chill. Jesus. Do I like buff? I don't care. You guys know what I've also been doing to work out? I've been taking... This came out of nowhere, huh? They're 12 AUD? That's tough. Take this. I do a couple of wrist curls. Yo, Floppy Fish, thanks for 10 months. I appreciate it. Happy birthday. You and Mad share a birthday. Why are you always working out your wrists? Because I got skinny little wrists. I also do curls with it. I wonder if there's a way to do this like the opposite way. No, that wouldn't work. Or if I do like... No, that doesn't work. Look how skinny my wrists are. I got tiny little wrists. Buys anything but a weight. What is this? Or this? Or these? Or this? See one of those squeeze grip things? I literally just showed 2 dumbbells with that on. I just want big meaty forearms and no biceps. I want no biceps, only forearms. Know what I mean? Ideal build, that's what I'm saying. Why no biceps? Pointless muscle. Don't even need biceps. Give me one real life thing that you do with a bicep. Look cool? Lick them? Biceps are one of the muscles that like just get worked. Lift, hold, supinate. You can do that all through back. Why I need forearm? Because forearm means stronger grip. So I can just grab somebody and they're like, I can't break out of it. I'm like, yeah, you can't. Chest, forearms, quads, and a back. That's all I care about. Outside of that, what do you even need? No ass? My woman will have the ass. I don't need it. I don't want to show her up. How considerate. Thank you. Biceps are good, so hot woman can take a shot off your muscle. I got enough bicep for that. I didn't even take a shot off your muscle. How are you gonna like you bounce a shot glass on it? Bicep's not really one that like can hold liquid. What do you mean? And triceps. I need big tricep too. Honestly, all forearm and tricep, no bicep. When I flex like this, I don't even want it to. I don't even want it to pop up a little bit. You've seen it done? Yeah, but like I'm still just. Is it just in a shot glass on the muscle? Like which way? Like that guy, I think just had a weird bicep. If she's taking like a shot without a shot glass off of a bicep, like I think he tore a muscle or something. Plus, I feel like I do enough workouts where biceps still get hit. I just don't care about focusing biceps. I'd rather focus on my back, core, forearms, and grip, and then I guess legs. But I've always had such chicken legs, dude. Legs are hard to build. I'm sorry, I'm not Mr. Sunshine. Loft apartment or farm? What? Heard eating a lot gives you a big back? Yeah, probably. I used to eat a lot. I still do sometimes. What a fucking whore this streamer is. I need to do more pull-ups though. I need to start doing pull-ups every day. You know what I mean? Type shit. Leave that shirt on, you slut. I'm sorry, I'm not Mr. Sunshine. Miss working out? Just do it. Just go work out. Duh. Best food you'd eat forever? Teriyaki chicken and rice. I think I could eat that every day and be content. Like, I don't know. I actually think I could just, as long as I had like a little sauce maybe here and there to like put on top, I'm chilling. Beef teriyaki is so good. Yeah, I think I don't mind beef. I prefer chicken. Teriyaki salmon and rice? I don't know if I've ever had that. Who's this song by? Arden Jones. Because I mean, to be fair, there's this place near me that like often has like a 2-for-1 deal for literally like a plate of teriyaki and rice. and I'll eat that for like 3 or 4 days in a row. W hyperfixation. I don't think it's hyperfixation. It's just like it's always good, and it's just like it's easy. It's simple. You get your protein, you get your carbs. Who's Arden Jones? I don't know. That's what it said on. Is that not who sings that song? Is butter chicken good? Yeah. What y'all been up to? What have y'all been up to since I haven't been live? You know, I know I'm not a streamer, which is why I don't stream much. But my video's doing good. 3 out of 10. Not too shabby. Traveling, W. Went to England, W. Got a job at the Humane Society, W. I have money now, W. Trying not to kill myself, W. Finally working again, throwing printers around, W. Working full time, W. Dying trying to get a job and other stuff, W. Playing Deltarune new chapter and drawing you, I guess, W. Yo, Gigi Bowman, thanks for the 28 months, W. Laying in bed in pain. That was actually not much of a W. We're watching the same musical. It was a High School Musical. Dying in the damn UK heat wave. Just buy an AC. Just ate a grilled cheese. Ooh, grilled cheese sound good. My issue is like grilled cheese, yummy, yummy, but I feel like I'm wasting a grilled cheese if I don't eat it with like a tomato bisque or a tomato soup. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like I'm wasting the grilled cheese at that point. And it's like, well, what's the point of it? I just feel like I need that if I want to really enjoy the grilled cheese. You need the tomato soup? Yeah. I agree. I do agree. Also been working on myself a lot more. W. Homemade tomato soup. Look, we're not all chefs like you, Groovy, okay? Relax. Homemade tomato soup. How about I just buy the Panera tomato bisque and I call it a day, huh? How about that? It is good though. The only issue with the Panera tomato bisque is like I need like 5 fucking grilled cheeses in order to like get it all. Grilled cheese marinara sauce. Marinara sauce is pretty much like tomato soup, it's just chunkier. Make grilled cheese without tomato soup, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Homemade is always better. What about homemade bombs? I don't know where that came from. My fault. Skill issue? No, literally, it is actually. Yeah, that's why I like simple foods that I can just easily cook. Like teriyaki chicken, that's easy. You just buy chicken and you buy teriyaki sauce. And there you go. When I worked at Panera, I would get grilled cheese on their tomato basil bread and swap the cheese for smoked Gouda cheese. My issue with Panera sandwiches are they cost so much and you get so little. You know what I mean? Like they're good, but I think my favorite thing to get from Panera is just their mac and cheese and bread. I guess if you get free lunch though, that's yeah, it's a bit different. I feel like the free lunch definitely hits better. Blue, only get a grilled cheese if you have tomato soup. It just look. I still look like there's something on my arm, but when I look at it, I don't see anything. Am I going crazy? Is that just my monitor? I don't even know. I don't see shit. Yeah, I don't. I just feel like I see like lines. I don't know what it is. There's nothing on your arm. I know that's why I'm confused, but it feels like I see something like right there. But every time I look, let's. I don't know. I think it's just a shadow or something. Where's that? I don't know. Maybe it's the lighting. Yeah, I just looked over and I was like, "What is on my arm?" And then I looked at my arm and there's nothing on my arm. I was like, "Okay, I don't know what the fuck I'm seeing." Bruise? No, doesn't hurt. I don't know what it is. Jersey Mike's Italian sub and an agave cream soda. I mean, the agave cream soda is good and all, but that's just so much sugar. Ain't your veins? I mean, this one is. That like goes up through here. I don't know. I do love me some cream soda though. Cream soda used to be my all-time favorite soda. I wish they made a sugar-free cream soda. Maybe they do, but I know A&W doesn't, and A&W is my shit. But they do make a sugar-free root beer, and that I always drink. Well, not always. I drink it quite a bit. That's my most drank soda. It's probably any more like a sugar-free root beer. Brown cream soda is so good. Brown cream? Isn't that all cream soda? Dr. Pepper cream soda, zero sugar? Yeah, that shit is not real cream soda if we're gonna keep it a buck. Mug root beer clears A&W. I don't know. I don't know if I like mugs as much. It's been a bit since I've had it, but I also don't think mugs is a sugar-free version, which does dictate a lot on how I feel about it. I'm gonna be honest. Dr. Pepper cream soda is gross. I know. Real cream soda drinkers get it. That is not good, but um, like fake cream soda enjoyers would probably be like, "Oh my god, it's really good." You know what I mean? Mugs taste like toothpaste. You have some good toothpaste. I gotta admit. So it's a real cream soda. Anything that's not Dr. Pepper. My grocery store has like a whole bunch of like small company like I don't really want to say like homemade because they're not like homemade, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Um, brand name artisan. Yeah, I guess maybe it's more like more artisan or like family owned, smaller businesses, not like massive corporations. Maybe small batch. But my grocery store has like a lot of like those for like cream sodas and root beers, and they got some really good cream sodas. Yeah, they are doing a lot. What are dirty sodas? I thought they were alcoholic, but I don't think McDonald's and what's the other? Isn't it's not Wendy's. I feel like I saw someone recently that did soda and cream. Oh, okay. I feel like I saw a fast food chain recently have like a big announcement for it, but I can't remember what it was. What's your Steam name? I can't find it. Why do you need my Steam name? Maybe I am thinking McDonald's. That might be the one I'm thinking. Dirty sodas aren't made with alcohol, they're made with a shit ton of sugar. Sugar does ferment if you give it long enough, so it's like, it's kind of right there, you know? Steam profile name? You still didn't really answer why you need my Steam name. You know what I mean? I don't even know what my Steam name is right now. I'm pretty sure it's just Kryoz. Call myself pre-made Aperol Spritz. Now hold on. What brand makes those? I love me an Aperol Spritz. Put me in your Steam family so I can have your games. Maybe. They're new in Canada? Damn. I love me an Aperol Spritz, I can't lie. Or a Cosmopolitan. Pretty different drinks overall, I'm aware, but Cosmopolitans are also great. I love Cosmos. Yeah, they're really good. My biggest issue with Cosmos is they usually serve them in like the margarita glass, and it's just like, give me more. Give me it in a fucking tall boy or something. Like, come on. Come on. I know you got the alcohol back there. I'll pay extra for it. Moscow Mules. I'm iffy on Moscow Mules. They're okay, but I'd rather get like a White Russian or something. Or I don't know. I like drinks that are like a little bit sweeter. Mojitos are good. Yo, how do I even say your name? Crackabosser. I don't know. Thank you for the Prime sub. I still don't know why you want my Steam profile. I'm pretty sure it's literally just Kryoz. But there's probably a lot of Kryozes out there. Oh wait, right now it's actually called Glorpish. I lied. Lemon sours are also good. Whiskey gingers, like a proper whiskey ginger. Espresso martinis are great. Paloma. That sounds familiar, but I don't remember what that's made with. What's a Paloma again? Why is this song up? Was I feeling sad earlier? If anyone can guess what song is about to play, I will gift 10 subs. ABBA? No. Macarena? No. Pink Pony Club? No. Divinos? No. Grooves in the Heart? No. Rickroll? No. AC/DC? No. El Beeper? No. Tyler Creator? No. Careless Whisper? No. The One Russian Song? No. Kanye? No. Tyler? No. No one's got it. No one's even really close. Masayoshi Takanaka? Isn't... No. Your own? No. Here goes. No one was expecting that shit. What was I gonna do? I was gonna do something else and I forgot. Fuck. Gun to my head, I would not guess. Country. Huh? Adios Mofos are also good if you want to die. The angel from my nightmare. Taking this beautiful song away from me? Fuck. What's today? Is it Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday. Is this considered Midwest emo? I don't know. Let's find a game to play. Maybe not for this stream because I kind of just enjoyed shitting and yapping, but next stream. I'm so sorry. I cannot dream tonight. Wait, is this one? Oh, this one's not out yet. Fuck. Fuck. Hmm. What is this? This seems ridiculous. Will you come home and stop this pain tonight? This game looks good, but it's mixed. What is this? That seems fun. It's like a horror game called Machi Nohi. Something. I don't know. What is this one? Terminal Lucidity. I like the art style. I got some games on the wish list we could fuck around and play. Mitzi, thanks for giving us up to Ella Essence. Appreciate it. Why is the dude messaging me? Looks like Counter-Strike's on the menu for tonight. Play my games, white boy. Your games are for gay people, right? Yucky. I have it added to my library. You have a Spotify account? No. I use YouTube and SoundCloud. Boom, boom, boom. Another banger. This one's depressing though. I can't lie. I mean, they have more depressing songs. I feel like Adam's songs are. Well, it says Adam's song. Why did I? I don't know why. I knew this was Adam's song, and I said I feel like Adam's song. Do they have sadder songs than this? I actually don't know. I feel like this one. I feel like there's another song I'm thinking of, but I can't remember what it is. Yo, Mitzi, thanks for giving us up the Loaf Boy Rye. I wish I knew what song I was singing. I don't even know if it's a Blink-182 song. It's like the one where like they're like in like a construction site and it's all getting destroyed around them. Is that Blink-182? They stay together for the kids. Oh yeah, that's literally the one. Yo, Mitzi Celeste, thanks for giving us up the blue YH now too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Where there's cats and they're singing. I mean, yeah, it's stay together for the kids. I think this one's probably their saddest song. It's really good though. Also, Dad, I don't know if you're still here, but have fun in Japan. I remember reading that, but I forgot to answer out loud. Oh, we were just really sad today? Yeah. We're sad every day. That's the key. Dead gone? Well, fake fan. Ugh. I remember me and my friends in high school used to listen to Blink-182 all the time. I remember there was one time we were just jamming it in his basement, spray painting on the wall. I forgot what we were even spray painting, but it was just a good time. We probably high as hell, not realizing that paint fumes can get you high at that time. Hot take, fuck Blink. Yeah, that is a hot take. Of course you were, old ass. What the fuck? It just felt uncalled for. Mitzi, can you refund that sub for Rye, pretty please? I don't think they deserve it. When the fuck do these motherfuckers keep calling me, bro? During Pride Month? Absolutely. That way it stings even more. Absolutely. Shoulder stretch. Bro's homophobic? Yes. Gonna like the bad things you call me in our DMs? Go for it. Let it rip. What am I hearing? Music. It's just very artistic. What is happening? Just relax, guys. It's all part of the artistic process. I feel like nothing happening is real right now. I mean, if you guys are looking at the music video, it'd make more sense. Here, I'll skip to the good part. Has no one heard this song? Do y'all not fuck with Young Lean or something? Are you guys Young Lean haters? Is that what it is? You guys just hate Young Lean? Because he's white? I've not heard the song, but it is good. Yes, I agree. Guys, I don't know what else to do today. I probably should wrap it up and get my sponsor thing finished. Yo, Durrell Lee, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's all we are to you? What? Could this be a yap stream? I mean, it kind of has been. I just don't know what else to yap about, I guess. Give me a topic. So give me a fuck ton of mint, make mojitos. I haven't seen Obsession now. Ooh, I need to go watch it one of these days. Artist and song name? Generation. Fucking keep clicking on the wrong window. Generation Storm, starring Young Lean. Pretty epic. My phone nearly caught fire in the hot car playing stream. Nice. They should have got that in a blaze. True. Music's not auto playing. I'm scared. No, listen to this. Guys, I literally don't know what else to do. I feel like I should just go get this sponsor done. Like, I feel like now's the point where I should play a game, but I gotta go do sponsor. What kind of sponsor thing is it? CS gambling, baby. We're back. It's time to do another Red Line to Dragon lore. Lock in. It's time. I should actually try that, though. That'd be funny. Streaming, I'm not working. I have not been doing my job for this entire stream. I feel like I've barely been doing my job. I might try to stream. I probably will try to stream before next week. Especially with the 35% off, I might as well get the most out of it. I don't know when yet. But I think I might just wrap up stream, try to get this sponsor thing sorted and done so I can send it off to get approved. Saturday? Maybe? Might be a later stream, or I think if I do Saturday, it might have to be an earlier stream. Probably around the same time as today. Guys, I can't allot my stream to all of your fucking schedules. Otherwise, I'm never gonna stream. Unfortunately, it's just how it's impossible. Please don't leave us hanging again. Nah, ideally it won't be another 2 weeks or even longer. I think it's been 2 weeks. maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. Anyways, sorry for the shorter stream. I was thinking about playing a game, but I didn't really know what game to play. But I have a couple of ideas for next stream. So next stream we'll get a couple games in. There also might just be like a random day where I stream because it's gonna be like a recording, but other people are streaming, so I might just say fucking and stream as well. But thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for chilling a little bit. Hope you guys had a good time. Thanks for all the subs and gifted subs, the bits, and just hanging out and chatting. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. New video will be... When is my new video coming out? I guess it depends on what gets finished. But probably... If I uploaded yesterday... And then there's a day... So probably Saturday will be a new video. And then... Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will see you all later. Follow the stream if you're not following the stream already. And go check out my YouTube channel. Hey, with the 17 gifted subs. I don't know why 17, but thank you for the 17 gifted. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Did that like round me up to a number? Thank you very much for the 17 gifties. Hey, I appreciate it. Guys, everyone who got to get this up by hey, say thanks. And if you don't, then I'm sad. But thank you very much for the gifties. I appreciate that. All the new subs also. Thank you guys for hanging out. Yep, new badge. Okay, gotcha. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for chilling. I will see you guys hopefully before next week. But I want to get this sponsor thing done because I've already sort of delayed it more than I should. So peace out, y'all. Have a good day.